Discovery of the ancient guardian. The cerulean skies of Nexus Prime stretched endlessly above Dr. Ilara Vance as she stepped out of the shuttle, her boots sinking slightly into the planet's spongy purple soil. The air was thick with an alien sweetness, like overripe fruit left too long in the sun. Ilara took a deep breath, savoring the moment. After years of study and months of space travel, she was finally here, the first human to set foot on this mysterious world. Quite a view, isn't it, Doc? Captain Marcus Reed's gruff voice broke through her reverie. The burly security officer emerged from the shuttle, his hand resting casually on his pulse rifle. Ilara nodded, her eyes scanning the horizon. Nexus Prime was a riot of colors, violet plains stretching as far as the eye could see, interrupted by towering crimson rock formations and patches of iridescent vegetation that seemed to shimmer and shift in the alien sunlight. "It's more beautiful than I ever imagined," she whispered, her voice filled with awe. The rest of the team, a mix of scientists, engineers, and security personnel, filed out of the shuttle. There were 12 of them in total, each hand-picked for this groundbreaking mission. Their goal was simple yet daunting: to establish the first human outpost on Nexus Prime and uncover the secrets of this alien world. As the team began to unload their equipment, Ilara's attention was drawn to a distant rock formation. Unlike the others, this one seemed unnatural. Its edges were too smooth, its shape too symmetrical to be the work of nature alone. "Captain Reed," she called out, pointing towards the anomaly. "I think we should investigate that structure." Reed squinted in the direction she indicated, then shrugged. "Looks like a big rock to me, Doc. But you're the expert. Johnson Lee, you're with us. The rest of you, continue setting up base camp." The small group set out across the alien landscape, their path taking them through patches of strange, spongy vegetation that seemed to recoil at their touch. As they drew closer to the rock formation, Ilara's excitement grew. She could see now that it wasn't just a single structure, but a series of interconnected shapes, like the ruins of some ancient alien citadel. "This is incredible," she murmured, running her hand along the smooth surface of the nearest structure. "These markings, they're not natural erosion. This was built by something intelligent." Reed tensed, his eyes scanning their surroundings. "You mean we're not alone here?" Ilara shook her head. "I don't think so. Look at the wear on these structures. Whatever built this, it was a long time ago. Thousands of years, at least." As they explored the ruins, Ilara's scientific curiosity battled with a growing sense of unease. The structures were unlike anything in the archaeological record. No straight lines or right angles, just flowing, organic shapes that seemed to defy gravity. And everywhere, strange symbols were etched into the stone, pulsing with a faint, otherworldly glow. "Over here." Johnson's voice echoed from deeper within the ruins. "I think I found an entrance." They converged on Johnson's position, finding him standing before a dark opening in one of the larger structures. The entrance was oval-shaped, its edges smooth and precise, as if cut by some impossibly advanced tool. Reed held up a hand, stopping Ilara as she moved to enter. "Hold on, Doc. We don't know what's in there. Let me go first." Ilara bristled at the delay but nodded her assent. Reed activated the light on his rifle and stepped into the darkness, the rest of the team following close behind. The interior of the structure was a single cavernous chamber. Their lights swept across walls covered in more of the glowing symbols, casting eerie shadows that seemed to dance and shift. But it was what lay at the center of the chamber that drew their attention and stole their breath away. There, bathed in a pool of soft, pulsing light, was a creature unlike anything they had ever seen. It was massive, easily the size of a small shuttle, with a body that seemed to be a fusion of organic and mechanical parts. Its form was vaguely canine, but with multiple limbs ending in wickedly sharp claws. A series of dormant energy weapons were integrated into its body, and its head was crowned with an array of sensor apparatus that put their most advanced technology to shame. What is it?" Lee whispered, her voice trembling. Ilara approached the creature slowly, her scientific mind racing to categorize and understand what she was seeing. I think it's some kind of war beast, a living weapon created by whatever civilization built these ruins. As if in response to her words, the creature's eyes suddenly flared to life, 6 glowing orbs that fixed upon the humans with an unsettling intelligence. A low, rumbling growl filled the chamber, causing the very ground beneath their feet to vibrate. Reed raised his weapon, pushing Ilara behind him. Everybody out. Now. But Ilara stood her ground, her eyes locked with those of the ancient guardian. In that moment, she felt something. A connection, a spark of understanding that transcended the barriers of species and time. Wait, she said, her voice calm despite the pounding of her heart. I don't think it means us harm. It's curious. The creature's growl subsided, replaced by a low, harmonious hum that seemed to resonate with the glowing symbols on the walls. Slowly, gracefully, it rose to its feet, towering over the humans. Reed's finger tightened on his trigger. Doc, I really think we should. But Ilara was already moving forward, her hand outstretched towards the ancient war beast. It's okay, she murmured, as much to her terrified companions as to the creature itself. We're not here to hurt you. We're explorers, seekers of knowledge, just like those who created you, I imagine. The war beast lowered its massive head, bringing its glowing eyes level with Ilara's. For a long moment, they stood there, human and alien, separated by eons of evolution and light years of space, yet connected by a shared spark of intelligence and curiosity. Then, to the astonishment of all present, the creature gently pressed its muzzle against Ilara's outstretched hand. A jolt of energy surged through Ilara's body, and suddenly her mind was flooded with images, sensations, and concepts alien yet somehow familiar. She saw great battles among the stars, felt the pride and sorrow of the ancient race that had created this guardian, and understood the terrible threat that had led to its creation. As the vision faded, Ilara stumbled backwards, caught by Reed's strong arms. Doc, are you all right? What happened? Ilara blinked, her mind reeling from the alien contact. She looked up at the war beast, which was now regarding her with what could only be described as expectation. I think I understand now, she said slowly. This creature, this guardian, it's been waiting. For us, for anyone who could awaken it and help it fulfill its purpose. And what purpose is that? Reed asked, his voice tense. Ilara turned to face her team, her eyes wide with the weight of her newfound knowledge. To save us all from a threat we never knew existed, a threat that's been dormant for millennia, but is about to awaken. As if in response to her words, a deep, ominous rumble shook the ruins. In the sky above, visible through the chamber's open ceiling, a fleet of alien ships began to materialize, their hulls gleaming with malevolent purpose. The ancient guardian let out a roar that shook the very foundations of the ruins, a call to battle that had gone unanswered for thousands of years. And in that moment, Ilara knew that the fate of humanity, perhaps of the entire galaxy, now rested in the unlikely alliance between a team of human explorers and an ancient alien war dog. The adventure had only just begun. Awakening and bond. The alien ships loomed in the sky above Nexus Prime, their ominous presence casting long shadows across the violet plains. Inside the ancient ruins, Dr. Ilara Vance stood beside the newly awakened war beast, her mind still reeling from the psychic connection they had shared. We need to get back to base camp, Captain Reed barked, his eyes darting between the creature and the threat above. Now. Ilara shook her head, placing a calming hand on the war beast's metallic hide. We can't leave him behind, Captain. He's our only hope against whatever's up there. Him? Reed's eyebrows shot up. Doc, that thing is a weapon, not a pet. The war beast let out a low, harmonious rumble that seemed to vibrate through Ilara's very bones. In her mind, she saw flashes of battles long past, of a civilization facing extinction, and of the desperate measures they took to survive. His name is Nexus, Ilara said softly, the knowledge settling into her mind like a long-forgotten memory. He was created to be more than just a weapon. He's a guardian, a protector. Reed opened his mouth to argue, but at that moment, the ground shook violently. Outside, beams of sickly green energy lanced down from the alien ships, carving deep furrows in the planet's surface. They're scanning for something, Ilara realized, her scientific mind racing to interpret the alien technology. Or someone. Nexus' eyes flared brighter, and he lowered his massive body, offering his back to Ilara. The meaning was clear. It was time to move. You can't be serious, Reed muttered, but Ilara was already climbing onto the war beast's back, finding handholds among the intricate machinery integrated into its form. We don't have a choice, Captain, she called down. Nexus knows what we're up against. We need to trust him. With a resigned curse, Reed and the others clambered aboard. No sooner had they found secure positions than Nexus sprang into action, bounding out of the ruins with impossible speed and grace for a creature of his size. As they raced across the alien landscape, Ilara felt a growing connection with Nexus. It was as if their minds were slowly synchronizing, allowing her to interpret the flood of alien thoughts and memories. They're called the Void Harvesters, she shouted over the wind rushing past them. They consume entire worlds, strip them of resources and life. They've been dormant for millennia, but something's woken them up. And let me guess, Reed growled, clinging tightly to one of Nexus' dorsal spines, we're on the menu. Before Ilara could respond, the air around them shimmered. Suddenly, they were surrounded by a swarm of smaller craft that had detached from the main ships. These were sleek, predatory things, bristling with weapons. Nexus skidded to a halt, his body tensing for battle. The weapons integrated into his form began to hum with energy, targeting systems locking onto the alien craft. Everyone, hold on tight, Ilara yelled, instinctively knowing what was coming. Beams of brilliant blue energy erupted from Nexus weapon arrays, slicing through the air with pinpoint accuracy. 3 of the alien craft exploded in silent balls of flame, their debris raining down on the purple plains. The remaining ships opened fire, filling the air with a storm of energy bolts. But Nexus was already moving, dodging with an agility that defied his size. His passengers clung on for dear life as he leaped, rolled, and spun, all while returning fire with devastating effect. In the midst of the chaos, Ilara felt a surge of exhilaration. This, she realized, was what Nexus had been created for. Not just destruction, but the perfect fusion of sentient will and advanced technology, working in harmony to protect life itself. As the battle raged, Ilara's connection with Nexus deepened. She found herself anticipating his movements, understanding the complex calculations behind each precisely aimed shot. And through it all, she felt his fierce joy at finally fulfilling his purpose after eons of dormancy. The skirmish was over in minutes, the alien craft reduced to smoldering wrecks scattered across the landscape. Nexus stood tall amidst the destruction, his systems cooling down with a soft hum. That was incredible, Lee breathed, her earlier fear replaced by awe. Reed nodded grudgingly, his tactical mind already assessing the implications of what they'd just witnessed. I hate to admit it, but we wouldn't have stood a chance without this big guy. Ilara slid down from Nexus' back, her legs shaky but her mind clear. This was just the beginning, she said, looking up at the larger ships still looming in the sky. The Void Harvesters won't give up so easily. We need to warn Earth, to prepare for what's coming. Nexus lowered his head, nuzzling Ilara gently. In her mind, she saw images of vast fleets, of worlds consumed by darkness, but also of hope, of diverse species coming together, united against a common threat. He's right, Ilara said, turning to face her team. We can't face this alone. We need allies. Reed's comm unit crackled to life, filled with panicked voices from the base camp. Whatever we're going to do, we better do it fast, he said grimly. Looks like the main invasion force is starting to land. As if to punctuate his words, the horizon lit up with the fire of distant explosions. The void harvesters were making planetfall, their terrible machines beginning the process of stripping Nexus Prime of all life and resources. Ilara felt a surge of determination, bolstered by Nexus' unwavering presence beside her. "We need to get to our ship," she said, her voice steady despite the fear gnawing at her gut. "We have to reach out to other worlds, to build a coalition strong enough to stand against this threat." "And how exactly do you propose we do that?" Johnson asked, eyeing the war-torn sky warily. Ilara placed her hand on Nexus' flank, feeling the thrum of ancient power beneath her fingers. "With Nexus' help, he's not just a weapon, he's a repository of knowledge, a bridge between past and present. If we can unlock the secrets of the civilization that created him, we might just have a chance." Reed nodded slowly, the spark of a plan forming in his eyes. "All right, Doc. You and your new friend have gotten us this far. What's our next move?" Ilara closed her eyes, reaching out through her bond with Nexus. In her mind, she saw a vast network of ancient technology, dormant but not dead, spread across the stars. "We need to reactivate the Nexus network," she said, opening her eyes with newfound purpose. "It's a system of faster-than-light communication and travel, created by Nexus makers. If we can bring it online, we can call for help and evacuate if necessary." "And where do we start?" Lee asked, her scientific curiosity piqued despite the dire situation. Ilara pointed to a distant mountain range, its peaks shrouded in swirling mists. "There. Nexus says there's a control node hidden in those mountains. If we can reach it and bring it online, we'll have taken the first step in turning the tide against the void harvesters." As the team prepared to embark on their desperate mission, Ilara felt a mix of terror and exhilaration. They were about to attempt something unprecedented, to reactivate an alien technology millions of years old, to unite the galaxy against an unimaginable threat. But as she looked at Nexus, his ancient eyes filled with trust and determination, she knew they had a chance. Humanity's ingenuity, combined with the legacy of a long-lost alien civilization, might just be the key to saving not only Earth, but countless worlds across the cosmos. With a roar that echoed across the embattled plains of Nexus Prime, the war beast lowered himself once more. Ilara and her team climbed aboard, ready to race against time and defy the odds. As they set off towards the Misty Mountains, leaving behind the growing chaos of the Void Harvester invasion, Ilara allowed herself a moment of hope. They had awoken an ancient guardian, formed an impossible bond, and glimpsed a future where the stars themselves might unite against the encroaching darkness. The battle for Nexus Prime, and for the fate of the galaxy, had only just begun. The cosmic Nexus awakens. As Nexus bounded across the alien landscape, his powerful limbs eating up the distance between them and the Misty Mountains, Ilara's mind raced with possibilities. The psychic link between her and the ancient war beast continued to strengthen, flooding her consciousness with fragments of long-lost knowledge. "We're being pursued," Reed shouted from his position near Nexus' tail, his enhanced combat visor scanning the horizon. "Void harvester drones, closing fast." Ilara gritted her teeth, feeling Nexus' determination surge through their bond. "Nexus says we're almost there. The control node is hidden within the heart of the mountain." As they approached the looming peaks, the air grew thick with swirling, iridescent mist. Strange, bioluminescent plants clung to the rocky slopes, their tendrils reaching out as if trying to grasp the passing travelers. Suddenly, a barrage of energy bolts spliced through the mist behind them. The Void Harvester drones had caught up, their sleek, insectoid forms darting through the air with preternatural agility. "Hold on," Ilara yelled as Nexus abruptly changed course, leaping from one precarious ledge to another. The war beast's integrated weapon systems came to life, returning fire with pinpoint accuracy despite the chaotic ascent. Lee, the team's conobotanist, gasped as they passed through a particularly dense patch of alien flora. These plants, they're reacting to our presence. Look. Indeed, the bioluminescent tendrils were reaching out, forming intricate patterns in the air. As a drone flew too close, the plants suddenly lashed out, ensnaring a machine in a web of glowing filaments. Incredible, Elara breathed. The entire ecosystem is acting as some kind of defense mechanism. Their wonder was short-lived as more drones appeared, their weapons carving chunks out of the mountainside. Nexus roared, a sound that seemed to shake the very air around them, and redoubled his efforts to reach their destination. Just when it seemed they couldn't possibly evade their pursuers any longer, Nexus made a desperate leap towards a sheer cliff face. Instead of crashing, they passed through what appeared to be solid rock, emerging into a vast, hidden cavern. The team tumbled from Nexus' back, disoriented but alive. As they regained their bearings, they found themselves surrounded by technology beyond their wildest imaginations. The cavern was a perfect sphere, its walls lined with pulsing, organic-looking circuitry. At its center floated a massive crystalline structure, its facets reflecting and refracting light in impossible ways. The Nexus node, Elara whispered, approaching the structure with a mixture of awe and trepidation. This is it, the key to reactivating the galaxy-wide network. Reed kept his weapon trained on the cavern entrance, wary of pursuit. That's great, Doc, but how do we turn it on? I don't see an on switch anywhere. Elara placed her hand on the crystal, feeling a faint vibration beneath her palm. Through her link with Nexus, she began to understand. It's not about activating it with technology. The Nexus network is semi-sentient. It needs to be awakened. As if in response to her words, the crystal began to glow brighter. Tendrils of energy snaked out, enveloping Elara and lifting her off the ground. Doc, Reed shouted, moving to intervene, but Nexus blocked his path with a low growl. Suspended in the air, Elara felt her consciousness expanding. She saw the vastness of the galaxy, countless worlds connected by shimmering threads of energy. She saw the void harvesters, a cancerous blight spreading across the cosmos. And she saw hope, dormant civilizations, hidden guardians like Nexus, waiting to be called into action. With a surge of will, Elara reached out through the Nexus network. Her mind touched distant worlds, awakening ancient defenses and sending out a desperate call for aid. The crystal flared with blinding light, and Elara was gently lowered to the ground. As her vision cleared, she saw the cavern transformed. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing star maps and streams of alien data. I think I did it, Elara said, her voice filled with wonder. The Nexus network is online. We've sent out the call. Lee was already examining one of the displays, her scientific curiosity overriding her fear. This is incredible. It's showing us real-time data from across the galaxy. Look, there are other nodes activating. Reed's comm unit crackled to life, filled with excited voices. Captain, you won't believe this. The sky is filled with, well, we don't know what they are, but they're engaging the void harvesters. Elara smiled, feeling a wave of relief wash over her. Reinforcements. We've awakened the ancient guardians. As if to confirm her words, a series of tremors shook the cavern. Outside, they could hear the sounds of titanic battles being waged across the surface of Nexus Prime. Nexus let out a triumphant roar, his body glowing with renewed energy. Through their bond, Elara sensed his eagerness to rejoin the fight. This is just the beginning, she said, turning to her team. The Nexus network isn't just a communication system. It's a bridge between worlds, between times. With it, we can unite the galaxy against the void harvesters. Reed nodded, a grim smile on his face. All right, Doc. You've turned this impossible situation around once. What's our next move? Elara's eyes gleamed with determination. We need to get back to Earth, to prepare humanity for what's coming. But first, she placed her hand on Nexus' flank, feeling the thrum of ancient power beneath her fingers. We have a planet to save. As they prepared to leave the safety of the cavern and plunge back into the chaos outside, Ilara felt a profound sense of destiny. They had unlocked secrets hidden for millions of years, forged an alliance with an ancient guardian, and taken the first steps towards uniting the galaxy. The battle for Nexus Prime raged on, but now it was more than just a fight for survival. It was the dawn of a new age, an age where humanity would take its place among the stars, standing shoulder to shoulder with allies beyond imagination against a threat that sought to extinguish all life. As Nexus lowered himself, inviting his human companions to climb aboard once more, Ilara knew that their greatest challenges and their greatest triumphs still lay ahead. The cosmic nexus had awakened, and with it, the hope for a future where the light of countless civilizations would push back the encroaching darkness. With a shared sense of purpose, Ilara and her team mounted the ancient war beast. Together, they would face whatever lay beyond the cavern's protective walls, ready to fight not just for Earth, but for all life in the galaxy. The age of isolation was over. The age of unity had begun. The quantum crucible. As Nexus burst from the hidden cavern, the team was immediately thrust into a maelstrom of cosmic warfare. The skies above Nexus Prime were ablaze with energy weapons and explosions, a dazzling yet terrifying display of advanced technology clashing in mortal combat. By all that's holy, Reed breathed, his eyes wide with awe and fear. It's like the entire galaxy's gone to war. Ilara clung tightly to Nexus as the war beast navigated the chaos, his integrated weapons systems firing with unerring accuracy at any void harvester that dared approach. Through their psychic link, she felt his fierce joy at finally fulfilling his ancient purpose. "Look," Lee shouted, pointing towards the horizon. "Those must be the reinforcements." Emerging from shimmering portals in the fabric of space itself were ships and beings of every conceivable shape and size. Some were clearly mechanical, while others seemed to be composed of pure energy or even stranger substances. All of them, however, moved with singular purpose to push back the Void Harvester invasion. As they raced across the battlefield, Ilara's mind was flooded with information from the reactivated Nexus network. "The Guardians," she gasped, struggling to process the torrent of alien knowledge. "They're not just from our time. Some of them are from the distant past, others from potential futures. The network exists outside of linear time." "That's fascinating, Doc," Reed grunted, firing his rifle at a swooping harvester drone. "But how does that help us right now?" Before Ilara could respond, a massive Void Harvester battleship descended from the clouds, its hull bristling with weapons. It fired a sickly green beam that carved a deep furrow in the planet's surface, narrowly missing Nexus and his human passengers. "We need to take that thing out," Johnson, the team's combat engineer, shouted over the din of battle. "But we don't have anything nearly powerful enough to penetrate its shields." Ilara closed her eyes, reaching out through her connection with Nexus and the network. In her mind's eye, she saw patterns of energy and probability, timelines branching and converging. And then, like a bolt of lightning, inspiration struck. "The quantum crucible," she breathed, her eyes snapping open. "Nexus, take us to the planet's core." "The planet's core," Reed echoed incredulously. "Doc, have you lost your mind?" But Nexus was already moving, bounding towards a massive crevice torn open by the Harvester's weapon. Without hesitation, the war beast leaped into the abyss, its passengers clinging on for dear life as they plunged into the depths of Nexus Prime. As they descended, the air grew thick and heavy. Strange, bioluminescent creatures flitted past them, their forms unlike anything seen on the surface. The heat increased exponentially, yet Nexus Advanced Systems kept his passengers protected. "The builders of the Nexus network," Ilara explained, her voice filled with excitement despite their perilous situation. "They didn't just create a communications system. They built a galactic-scale quantum computer, with each planet serving as a node. And at the heart of each node, they emerged into a vast cavern, lit by the pulsing glow of what could only be described as a miniature sun. Suspended in a lattice of impossibly complex machinery was a swirling mass of energy, its colors shifting in ways that hurt the human eye to perceive. The quantum crucible, Ilara finished in a whisper of awe. Nexus landed on a platform overlooking the cosmic spectacle. Through their bond, Ilara sensed his reverence for this place, as well as his understanding of its purpose. "This is where possibilities become reality," she said, sliding off Nexus' back and approaching a control interface that seemed to materialize out of thin air. "With this, we can reshape the very fabric of space-time." "That's great and all," Reed said, keeping a wary eye on her surroundings. "But how does it help us defeat that battleship?" Ilara's fingers danced across the holographic controls, guided by instincts she didn't fully understand. "We're going to create a weapon. Not just any weapon, but one that exists in all possible timelines simultaneously. Something the Void Harvesters can't possibly defend against because it's hitting them from every when, not just everywhere." The quantum crucible began to pulse more rapidly, its energies coalescing into a shape above the team's heads. It was a sphere of pure possibility, shimmering with potential. "Everyone, focus your thoughts on victory," Ilara commanded. "Imagine the Void Harvesters defeated, our world safe. The crucible will make it real." As the humans concentrated, Nexus let out a low, harmonic rumble that seemed to resonate with the very fabric of reality. The sphere of energy above them grew brighter, more defined, until it suddenly collapsed in on itself with a silent flash. In its place hovered a small, unassuming device. It was a perfect cube, its surface a deep, shifting black that seemed to absorb all light. "The nullifier," Ilara breathed, reaching out to grasp the device. As her fingers closed around it, she felt a surge of power unlike anything she had ever experienced. "With this, we can end the invasion once and for all." No sooner had she spoken than the cavern shook violently. Dust and debris rained down from above as the sounds of battle grew louder. "They found us," Reed shouted, readying his weapon. "We need to move now." The team scrambled back onto Nexus, the nullifier clutched tightly in Ilara's grasp. The war beast bounded back the way they had come, racing against time as the very planet seemed to crumble around them. As they emerged onto the surface, they were met with a scene of utter chaos. The Void Harvester battleship loomed overhead, its weapons laying waste to the landscape. The Ally forces were being pushed back, overwhelmed by the sheer destructive power of the massive vessel. "It's now or never, Doc," Reed called out. "Whatever that thing does, it better do it fast." Ilara raised the nullifier above her head, feeling the weight of countless timelines converging on this single moment. With a silent prayer to whatever forces might be listening, she activated the device. For a heartbeat, nothing seemed to happen. Then, reality itself appeared to fracture. The Void Harvester battleship was suddenly engulfed in a maelstrom of temporal energy. Its hull twisted and warped, sections of it seeming to age thousands of years in seconds, while others reverted to raw materials. Arcs of chronometric energy lashed out, touching smaller harvester craft and reducing them to dust, or rather, erasing them from existence altogether. A deafening multidimensional shriek echoed across the battlefield as the massive ship imploded, leaving behind nothing but a rapidly dissipating cloud of temporal particles. As suddenly as it had begun, the anomaly ceased. The nullifier in Ilara's hands crumbled to ash, its impossible energy spent. A stunned silence fell over the battlefield, broken only by the distant sounds of smaller skirmishes. Then, a cheer went up from the Allied forces, a chorus of victory in 1,000 alien tongues. Ilara slumped against Nexus, exhausted but elated. Through their bond, she felt the ancient Guardian's pride and satisfaction. They had done it. They had turned the tide. As the team caught their breath, marveling at the scale of what they had just accomplished, Reed's comm unit crackled to life. "Captain Reed," a familiar voice came through, tight with barely contained excitement. "This is Admiral Chen of the Earth Defense Fleet. We've received your distress call, and, well, you wouldn't believe what we're seeing up here. Care to fill us in on what in the name of all that's holy is going on?" Reed looked at Elara, a wry smile on his face. "You want to take this one, Doc? I have a feeling this is going to be one hell of a debriefing." As Elara began to explain the incredible events that had unfolded, she knew that this was just the beginning. They had won a crucial battle, but the war against the Void Harvesters was far from over. Yet, as she looked out over the battered but unbroken landscape of Nexus Prime, at the impossible alliance of beings from across time and space that had come together to defend it, she felt a surge of hope. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, one filled with wonders and terrors beyond imagination. But they would not face these challenges alone. With Nexus at their side and the power of the cosmic network at their fingertips, they were ready to claim their place among the guardians of the galaxy. The age of isolation was over. The age of unity had truly begun. The multiversal convergence, the aftermath of the battle for Nexus Prime, was a whirlwind of activity. As the dust settled and the remaining Void Harvester forces retreated to the far reaches of the system, ships from Earth and other allied worlds began to arrive. The once desolate planet had become a hub of interstellar diplomacy overnight. Elara stood atop a hill overlooking the makeshift command center, Nexus a steady presence by her side. The ancient war beast had become a symbol of hope for the gathered species, a living link to the advanced civilization that had created the Nexus network. "Dr. Vance," a voice called out. Elara turned to see Admiral Chen approaching, flanked by a diverse group of beings. Some were recognizably humanoid, while others defied easy categorization. "Admiral," Elara greeted, standing a little straighter. "I see you've brought company." Chen nodded, a mix of awe and uncertainty in his eyes. "This is the Galactic Conclave. Representatives from every major spacefaring civilization in our arm of the galaxy. They've come to meet the one who reactivated the Nexus network and, well, changed everything." Elara felt a wave of trepidation as the assembled dignitaries regarded her with a range of emotions: curiosity, respect, and in some cases, clear apprehension. A tall crystalline being stepped forward, its form shimmering with internal light. When it spoke, the words seemed to form directly in Elara's mind. "Dr. Elara Vance of Earth," the being intoned, "I am Zerlix, eldest of the Luminar Collective. We have journeyed far to stand upon this precipice of history. Your actions have set in motion events that will reshape the very fabric of our reality." Elara swallowed hard, feeling the weight of expectation pressing down on her. We did what was necessary to survive, to give us all a fighting chance against the Void Harvesters." Another being, this one a swirling vortex of plasma contained within an ornate mechanical shell, moved to address her. "Indeed, and in doing so, you have awakened powers long dormant. The quantum crucible was but the first key. There are others, scattered across the cosmos, waiting to be found." "Keys?" Elara asked, her scientific curiosity piqued despite the gravity of the situation. Zerlix nodded, or at least Elara interpreted the shifting of its crystalline structure as a nod. To the greatest power in the universe, the ability to navigate and manipulate the multiverse itself. A ripple of murmurs passed through the assembled dignitaries. Even Admiral Chen looked taken aback. "I don't understand," Elara said, unconsciously placing a hand on Nexus for support. "What does this have to do with defeating the Void Harvesters?" A new voice joined the conversation, deep, resonant, and ancient. It took Elara a moment to realize it was Nexus, speaking aloud for the first time. "The Harvesters are but a symptom," the war beast rumbled, his words understood by all despite the alien nature of his speech. "They are the result of a greater imbalance, a cancer spreading across not just our universe, but all universes." Elara's mind reeled at the implications. "You mean, there's more than one universe under threat?" Zerlix's crystalline form pulsed with urgent light. "Indeed, the Void Harvesters in our reality are but one manifestation of a multiversal entropy. In some realities, they have already won. In others, the battle is yet to come. But in all of them, the fundamental fabric of existence is fraying. The builders foresaw this. Nexus continued, his ancient eyes filled with cosmic knowledge. They created the Nexus network not just as a means of communication, but as a way to stabilize the multiverse itself. The quantum crucibles on each world are nodes in a vast, reality-spanning web. Admiral Chen stepped forward, his face a mask of determination. So what do we do? How do we stop this multiversal entropy? Zilix turned its crystalline gaze to Ilara. The human before us has already taken the first step. By reactivating the Nexus network and using the quantum crucible, she has set in motion a chain of events that will lead to the multiversal convergence. The convergence? Ilara asked, feeling both thrilled and terrified by the cosmic scale of what she was hearing. The plasma being's voice crackled with electric excitement, a coming together of all realities, a chance to reforge the bonds between universes and halt the spread of entropy. But to achieve this, we must find and activate all the quantum crucibles across the multiverse. Ilara's scientific mind raced with the possibilities. And the keys you mentioned, they're needed to access these other crucibles. Nexus nodded his massive head. The keys are artifacts of immense power, created by the builders and scattered across time and space as a safeguard. They must be gathered and brought together at the moment of convergence. Admiral Chen let out a long breath. So we're not just fighting to save our world, or even our universe. We're in a race to save all of existence. Ilara felt a moment of vertigo as the true scale of their task settled upon her. But then she felt Nexus' steady presence in her mind, a reminder of the incredible journey that had brought them to this point. We've come this far, she said, her voice growing stronger with each word. We've united species that never knew the others existed. We've wielded powers that defy our current understanding of physics. If we can do all that, then we can face this challenge too. A chorus of agreement rose from the assembled dignitaries. Zilix's crystalline form glowed with approval. Then it is decided, the Luminar eldest proclaimed. We shall form a multiversal alliance. Our goal, to find the keys, activate the crucibles, and bring about the convergence before the entropy consumes all. As the gathering Are you ready for this? She asked softly. To journey beyond our universe, to face challenges we can't even imagine. Nexus let out a low, reassuring rumble. I was created for this purpose, though I did not know it until now. The question is, are you ready, Ilara Vance of Earth? For you have a greater role to play in this cosmic drama than you yet realize. Ilara looked out over the assembled beings from across the galaxy, then up at the star-strewn sky that now held the promise of entire new universes to explore. She felt a lifetime of scientific curiosity, a thirst for knowledge, and a deep-seated desire to protect all life rising within her. Yes, she said, a smile spreading across her face. I'm ready. Let's save the multiverse. As if in response to her words, the sky above Nexus Prime lit up with a dazzling display of cosmic energy. The multiversal convergence had begun, and with it, a new chapter in the history of all existence. Humanity, once isolated on a single world, now stood at the forefront of a multiversal alliance. With ancient guardians at their side, and armed with knowledge that spanned realities, they were prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The battle for Nexus Prime was over, but the war for the fate of all universes had just begun, and at the heart of it all stood Ilara, Nexus, and a bond that transcended the very boundaries of reality itself.